I was really inspired this week as I delved into the work of Barbara Marx Hubbard. Has anybody ever heard of her? A couple of people, yeah. And the work which she really, if you do a Google search for conscious evolution, her work and her thesis appears more than anything. She really propelled that work. She's the president. She passed away a few years ago, but she was the president and co-founder of the Foundation for Conscious Evolution, and she did a lot to bring awareness of this idea, which I'm going to share with you today. And this is one of my favorite topics because it's really a message of hope. It's a message that is, I believe, a call to action. It is a message that we need to keep our eye on the North Star, whatever that North Star is for yourselves. Now, if you're like me, you, and maybe you're not like me, but you consume a lot of news. And over the last week, I've been experimenting with shifting to only consuming like 10 minutes a day of news because it can be disheartening. It can really be disheartening. And I was helped out a bit in this experiment by Barbara Marx Hubbard by reading her quote. She says, "Our media, which is like a planetary nervous system," and she not only the news media, but Facebook, which has 3.5 billion active users a month on it. It's part of our planetary nervous system, for better or for worse. And our media is far more sensitive to the breakdowns than the breakthroughs. They filter out creativity and success, considering them less newsworthy than violence, war, and dissent. When we read newspapers, watch television news, we feel closer to death of the social body than to an awakening. And I see some of you, you're nodding in agreement. You know, there is that doom, the doom scrolling that happens. She goes on to say, yes, something is dying. However, media does not recognize that something is also being born. So I loved that reminder. And it does appear that the world is in this continual state of crisis, but we as metaphysicians, now I've never said that before here in my year of being here, we as metaphysicians, meaning it's our job to look meta beyond the physical, and that's where the reality is. It's beyond the outward appearances as we see through new eyes. But it's our job to look past that reality, which is called mere condition, and focus on the absolute unchanging reality, which we talked about during the meditation, which we talk about, which we sing about, which we pray about, and we pray from that reality. So related to this topic, I remember Bruce Lipton basically said that we as a human race are going to go extinct unless we evolve. And he was doing that against the backdrop of the crises that happened right around the time of the beginning of the pandemic. But Barbara Marx Hubbard would add to that, and she would say, yes, that's true, but there is hope, because in her words, global crises are necessary because they force us to change our paradigm. She goes on to say, crisis precedes every transformation. You know, think of the butterfly, think of the chicken coming out of the egg. Crisis precedes every transformation. Think of birth itself. And she says problems are evolutionary drivers, and whatever we're going through is a part of the planetary struggle to evolve. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. And so talking about this global crisis as the same forces that cause a caterpillar to become a butterfly, there has to be transformation for this caterpillar, or else it's going to die. It can't go back. Its survival depends upon its own transformation that looks nothing like what it was before. you can't recognize it as being the same being. So conscious evolution means a metamorphosis, using that as a symbol, as symbology, or as an analogy. It means metamorphosis on every level, but not one that comes from the outside, not one in which we're depending upon someone on the outside to save us. So along that vein, Bruce Lipton said, what if everyone had natural empathy? What if we didn't have to tell people that it was wrong to kill people? Think about that. It sounds silly. But what if we as a species had natural empathy not to kill people? Today we kill people with the convenience of distance, and it seems removed. We have to keep on reminding ourselves, that there are 13 million displaced people in Sudan, and that they're mostly starving right now, and that there are 2 million people in Gaza who are mostly starving, and that bombs are dropping every day, killing people, and that just because we're not going over there and killing them physically face to face, that it's somehow morally better. I digress. Yeah, I'm glad. So now think about this. I've heard some people say, gosh, this is apocalyptic, what's happening. But the apocalypse doesn't have to mean the end of the world. It can mean the end of the world as we currently know it. And Barbara Marx Hubbard says, apocalypse can mean the unveiling of a deeper humanity. So that's my apocalypse. And I was also thinking about conscious evolution and the healing of the universe as we know it. Everything is connected. So why would it just be, we're going to heal this country? I believe, and I think Barbara Marx Hubbard believed, that this healing was universal based on this connection of everything, and that somehow there's a grand healing process in the cosmos. I'm thinking about healing for a moment. I think about, Adrian's, it was your ankle, right? Not your leg, it was your ankle. I was thinking about the hernia that you just talked about, the healing of that. I had an injury on my heel where I had difficulty walking about 5 days ago, and it healed. And we expect healing for the most part. If I scratch my finger, we're like, my body's got that, it's just going to take time. We expect healing. When grief happens, we all say grief heals with time, but we are trusting that grief is going to diminish and turn into something that isn't right in front of our faces the whole time, right? Some people say that grief, it's still big, but it just moves over here so we can live our lives. It's still big, and every once in a while it comes back. But every time it comes back, there's a continuation in that healing process. So we trust in the healing process of grief. We take it as a given. So why would healing be limited to the cut on my finger? Why would healing be limited to grief? I think healing can go beyond, and I'm going to explain why. So starting with, we have evolved biologically, as human beings for 300,000 years, but if you look back 4 billion years is when we essentially were single-celled organisms. And we evolved and evolved and evolved and evolved. And if you look at any body part, I read this essay about the eye and how amazing and miraculous the eye is to do what it does, and how many colors it's capable of seeing, and that it has a higher resolution than anybody's iPhone here has. It's just amazing how the eye has developed, how any part of the body, the liver, does 500 things that we know about, and probably another 500 that we don't, or that we're still discovering. It's amazing. So we're clearly on a biological evolution. And Barbara Marx Hubbard says we're clearly in a technological and knowledge evolution, such that 3 years from now, and this is for better or for worse, you're not going to be able to tell whether your movies are actual actors or AI. That's how fast knowledge and technology is moving. It's only constrained by our imagination. You know, somebody may have taken a Waymo here today. We couldn't have dreamed of that when you grew up, right? But it's happening. So if all these things are happening, what about, okay, so we've got AI. Anybody ever heard of EI and SI? So one of the things that they pound into us at ministerial school is emotional intelligence and social intelligence. And I think about our world leaders don't know how to solve an argument. Our world leaders are killing millions of people collectively. Our world leaders don't know how to process their own trauma, and they don't act spiritually, right? And I'm not going to place all the blame there, even though I just gave them a good dose of it. People are cheering me on. Okay. But what about this emotional and spiritual evolution? It's happening biologically, technologically, in terms of knowledge. So Barbara Marx Hubbard basically said that, yeah, this is the next place that we need to go. Emotional evolution plus spiritual evolution is the final frontier of conscious evolution, and that will prevent this species from going extinct. But we have to choose. We've got tons of science. We have to choose to look at science. We've got plenty of opportunities for peace. We have to choose peace. That's why Marianne Williamson has made much of her life work dedicated to, instead of a Department of Defense, Department of Peace. It's a total mind shift. We have to choose empathy. We have to choose nonviolence. And this is where the conscious evolution happens. We can't just blame world leaders. So how do we, Barbara Marx Hubbard says that we all are participants in this. Whether we want to be participants or not, we are participating in the conscious evolution of the planet. And I believe that there are two, in my words, there are two evolutions that have to happen. The evolution that happens right here, personal evolution, and at the same time, the conscious evolution of the universe. Barbara Marx Hubbard, I'm going to read a quick quote from her. She said, "The path of the co-creator," that means you, "is to be awakened spiritually within, which then turns into your deeper life purpose, which then makes you want to reach out to others in a way that really evolves our communities and that really evolves our world. And certainly none of this can happen unless we activate ourselves. Activate ourselves. I like that word. So how do we activate ourselves? I'm going to talk about a few ideas here. I talked about butterflies earlier, and there's something called the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect, it's part of chaos theory, is, and I'm going to read this, is the sensitive dependence on initial conditions, here's the important part, in which a small change in one state can result in large differences in a later state. To simplify things, think of, they often say, a butterfly flapping its wings can create an energetic tornado somewhere else. It's true that if I move my finger just a little bit, gravity is connected to the furthest star 300 billion light years away. Everything is connected, and small things make a difference. Chaos theory means that there is no chaos, so every small thing you do counts. There's a German philosopher named Fichte who said, "You could not remove a single grain of sand from its place without changing something through all parts of the entirety of everything." I'm paraphrasing that a little bit. But you can't. It's the same idea. So if we change something small in our lives, how can it not have a ripple effect to our orbit of friends, to our souls, to the world? How can we not? So, as Karen Drucker would sing, and as Michael's going to sing in a few minutes, I can change the world one heart at a time. Now, I don't often say this, I haven't often said it, but that is my calling as a minister, to change the world one heart at a time. And it is embedded in our mission and vision statements, which I will be revisiting with the board shortly, so we can capture that flavor a little bit more. We haven't looked at those statements in a while. That we are here, I believe, to have those two conscious evolutions happen. The one in here, because we want to be happy. I know for sure we all want to be happier, right? And that we all want to be, we are all healers. And we know that, and we want to make an impact on the world. I know that. Every person I've talked to. Those two things have to happen. Let's think about us as a change agent. Jesus was a change agent. Gandhi was a change agent. Be the change you want to see. Myrtle Fillmore was a change agent because she changed herself, and by doing so, it had a ripple effect, which became the reason why we're sitting in this place called Unity. So think about that individual change, that individual. You know, some people say it doesn't even matter if Jesus historically existed or not. The effect is the same. The effect is identical. It's energy. Now, I don't doubt that Jesus, I know Jesus existed, but if you don't, it doesn't matter because the energetic idea is the same. So your energy is very important. And there's something I'm going to say, in a few things I'm going to say in closing. Besides this, let me go back to Jesus for a second. The message of Jesus was that it's our turn now. We get to be Jesus. He's the way shower. He's not the worship me and do nothing. He's the showing us the way to be. So I think based on that, we really need to internalize this message about us being change agents too, and that we are no less sacred than anything or anyone through time. That's what metaphysicians, that's what unity, that's what New Thought believes. Sacredness was not reserved for Jesus. The Christ, there's a whole class I took in ministerial school. Christ is not reserved for Jesus. Christ is reserved for each one of you. Each one of us gets to be that change agent. So, I want to quote someone else who said this. Vienda Maria said, "When we heal a part in ourselves, we also heal that part in the world." Isn't that fascinating? That's why we don't put these daily word readings up just for the fun of it. Each one of them is like a mini lesson. Today was about forgiveness. When we constantly revisit and remind ourselves and heal that little part in us, we're somehow healing that part in the world because we're all connected. So again, we can change the world one heart at a time. That heart is our own. And in closing, I'll say, if you don't know where to begin, 3 ideas. One idea is pay it forward. Who saw that movie? Okay, a few of you. The idea with pay it forward was it began with someone that was going to jump off of a bridge. And someone else came along and said, "Don't do that." They saved that person from jumping off the bridge. They saved that person's life. And that person came back later to the person that saved them and said, "How can I pay you back?" And the person said, "The way you can pay me back is to pay it forward and make a change through an act of unconditional, random kindness to 3 other people." Just to 3 other people. And it became a national movement. So I highly recommend watching Pay It Forward. That's one idea. It doesn't have to be big. The next idea is, here's one, pray for others. Pray for others. Have you noticed that when you pray for others, it uplifts you? And sometimes, even when you're in your own crap, even when you're in your own lesser than, by praying for someone else, you all of a sudden become more powerful because you're praying from a place of your unlimited source, and you're praying from a place of seeing their perfection. You're praying from a place of seeing God expressed as them, and all of a sudden, you're uplifted too. So pray for others. And along that line, I'm going to do my first workshop in a long time. It's going to happen in about 6 or 7 weeks. It's going to be the power of positive prayer, and it's going to be about that. So, in closing, I will say one more thing. If you don't know what to do, hold true to whatever your North Star is, whether it's for yourself or whether it's for the world. What is your North Star? You can have a new one each day. What is your North Star? My North Star is that there can be a world where there are no losers and everyone wins. There can be a world that works for everyone. There can be a world where the butterfly effect is happening as me, where we're changing the world one heart at a time. And so it is. Thank you.